The class seems to be live now. Okay. तो CUET के बच्चों, let's start the session. So today what we are going to discuss is the CUET. Now जब मैंने पहली बार CUET का एग्ज़ाम्स के बारे में सुना, and we usually spend about most of the times in the CAT, GMAT, SSC, UPSC, that kind of a level. That is after graduation, जब आप नौकरी के लिए जाएंगे तो वो levels we usually teach. So that was a very interesting situation for me when we were asked to even look at the CUET exams. Now in CUET there was 3 sections. Now section 1 was the language section. तो जैसे कि वर्ड बता रहा है कि लैंग्वेज टेस्ट, एक लैंग्वेज टेस्ट होगा और इंग्लिश का टेस्ट होगा. तो व्हाट आई वाज प्रिज्यूमिंग वाज जस्ट लाइक इन द स्कूल व्हाट वी आर टॉट. स्कूल में आपको क्या पढ़ाते हैं? अगर CUET इज़ फॉर द 12th पास स्टूडेंट्स and people who are aiming for the college or the college admissions or universities admissions. So basically what we are looking at is someone who is having the same kind of a knowledge which is taught in the schools. Now same kind of understanding मुझे था, but when I looked at the CUET exam and particularly the section 1 in the language, I was very stunned. Rather, calling it a language test is also a misnomer. एक आपको एक गलत डायरेक्शन है अगर आप ये समझ रहे हैं कि this is a language test. Now, obviously, when it is called a language test, you will presume that all the language skills would be needed. तो आपको language skills में क्या क्या needed होता है? Literary skills चाहिए होता है. You even need vocabulary, you need reading speed, you need all kind of a language skills. But when I looked at the CUET exam, CUET had nothing to do with the language. Rather, language part था. लेकिन if you look at the total percentage, let's say only 10% part was the language skills part. The 90% of the part in the CUET language test, which is an English test, is more based upon the IQ skills. Now, what exactly I'm saying? थोड़ा सा मैं elaborate करता हूँ, आपको समझ आएगा what I'm trying to say to you. Now, when we are teaching CAT or a GMAT. CAT basically and GMAT is an MBA. When you are after graduation, you go into it. Even in the SSC and the banking, when we teach, what exactly happens is उसमें English और Maths को use करते हैं. Most of the tests आप अभी graduate नहीं हुए हैं और आप अभी just CUET या 12th के बच्चे हैं, तो you wouldn't know that after your graduation, for all the tests, whether it is a banking test, whether it is a UPSC, SSC, GMAT, CAT, that kind of a level, the CAT is for the IIMs and GMAT is for the Harvard and the Wharton, okay, MBS and all. I'm talking about the world where after graduation का बात कर रहा हूँ. तो obviously थोड़ा सा आपके लिए far fetched है, 3 या 4 साल या 5 साल बाद you'll be landing up there. But what exactly I was able to find out in the CUET English test was, it was actually a mini or a very subdued form of the same kind of a test. Now, even for the SSC, even for the banking, कल आप नौकरी के लिए जाएंगे, बैंकिंग में जाएंगे, MBA करेंगे, and what are the exams you would be giving, even with the UPSC and everything, you would see English and Maths coming very regularly in front of you. Now, but there is a big difference actually. They never call it Maths, they never call it English. But in CUET, they were calling it English test. Now when I checked the English test in particularly, वो English test नहीं है. So ये perspective बहुत important है आपके लिए. Why it is important? I'll give an example to you. एज ए स्टूडेंट जब मैं कोई भी चीज़ को अप्रोच करता हूँ, मान लेते हैं मैथ्स टेस्ट के लिए जा रहा हूँ, तो आई मेंटली प्रिपेयर टू डू मैथ्स, आई एम प्रिपेयर टू डू कैलकुलेशंस, आई एम प्रिपेयर टू मेक इन्फ्लुएंसेस इन द सेम थिंग. और व्हेन आई एम गोइंग फॉर द इंग्लिश टेस्ट, आई एम प्रिपेयर फॉर ग्रामर, दैट काइंड ऑफ स्किल्स. सो मैं जब क्वेश्चन को देखूंगा, so I will presume that I am being checked for a language skills, but actually वो टेस्ट IQ टेस्ट है. अभी भी आपको आई थिंक क्लैरिटी नहीं होगा क्यों. रीज़न उसका ये है कि आपने कभी IQ टेस्ट देखा नहीं है. What exactly in the schooling times, हमारे स्कूल टाइम्स में most of the times when we look at school syllabus and even the students, आपको रीजनिंग स्किल्स इतना नहीं सिखाया जाता जितना आपको रट्टा मारना सिखाया जाता है. What I'm trying to say is, if you are thorough with your course books, you will score well. But is that an IQ? That's not an IQ actually. I'll give an example to you. let's say I'm talking about any science subject, let's say I'm talking about biology or chemistry or anything. Scoring good marks in school has actually nothing to do with IQ. It is more of a hard work kind of a thing. एक कबीर का दोहा है कि रस्सी आवत जावत के सिल पे परे निशान. What does it means is कि जब आप बार बार वो चीज़ को पढ़ते हैं तो आप रट्टा मार के उसे एक अपनी मेमोरी में ले आते हैं. तो even if you are not intelligent, even if you don't have an intelligent brain, your hard work will carry you to that kind of marks. But when you look at let's say any subject, the real knowledge of that subject is very different from that ratta which you are in the exams which are actually asked. So what I'm trying to say is, having a subject knowledge and an IQ skills is different from getting marks in schools. Now in all the school time, you have seen all the papers, whether it is board 10th, board 12th, whatever the exams you have seen, all the exams were actually based upon much more of how much you have studied. But in an IQ test, it's not about the studying part, it's more about understanding part. What I'm trying to say is, your real understanding of a subject is different from the knowledge which you get by reading it over and over again. Okay, I'll give an example to you. एक poem है, and I'm reading it over and over again. I will learn it. Okay, I'll learn it by heart. मैंने एक रट्टा मार लिया है, और I can speak it and I can get marks. But an understanding of the poem is a very different thing. You may not know that there are many words which may have a lineage. I meant to say उसका एक ancestry हो सकता है कोई word का, जैसे हम कहते हैं root word method, जिसे हम कहते हैं कि many of the words are coming from some root word. I'll give an example to you when even I'll be talking about your CUET 2024 exam. So what I'm trying to say here is, when you look at the CUET exam, don't go into the exam thinking that it's a language test. It is not an English test. It is not even a language test. And even you don't need much language skills, but rather you need more of an IQ skills, which we teach in CAT, GMAT, SSC, banking, UPSC. So after this graduation, you will move for jobs. And there you will need all these kind of skills which are actually being tested in your section 1, which is a language, and section 3, which is a GT. So I always say to the CUET student that it is not the section 2 or the domain test which is a major challenge to you. Rather, वो domain तो सारे आप उम्र पढ़ते आए हैं. All the time you have been studying domains. But right now, what exactly the GT part and the English part, the section 1 and the section 3 is actually new to you. What I'll prove it to you when I'll be talking about the CUET 2024 exams. What I'm trying to say is, you don't need much of the language skills, but you need more of an IQ skills to handle these kind of a test. And the problem is, in all of your schooling times, you haven't been taught an IQ based testing, how to handle an IQ based test. An IQ based test is not about your language skills, rather it is more about your IQ or the understanding skills. I'll give more examples so that you will learn more into it. So there are many students who have joined, so I would be asking questions from each and every person. Okay, so how many people are there? Okay, there are many people who have joined. Very good, that's a big motivation for the class. Now let's talk about the CUET English test. I'll not call it English test. Let's move into the syllabus part. तो मैंने कहा कि let's look at the syllabus क्या है इसका. तो there was 2 parts to it. Or in all the other subjects, there was a lot of the pages filled with the syllabus. But when we look at the total syllabus for the English thing, what I was found out there were 3-4 lines only. Now, बड़ी खुशी की बात है, सिर्फ 4 चीज़ें पूछने वाले हैं. You know, it's so such a relief every student will have. But is it such a relief? Is it such a good thing for you? अगर सिलेबस डिफाइंड नहीं है और सिर्फ 1-2 लाइंस में स्पेसिफाइड है और वो कह रहा है कि दे मे आस्क एनीथिंग फ्रॉम द रीडिंग कॉम्प्रिहेंशन और एनीथिंग फ्रॉम द verbal ability, they said, actually it's a very difficult situation you are in. It means actually your syllabus is infinite. They can ask questions from anywhere. That's what they're saying to you. Okay, so I can understand कि जब वो click करते हैं CUT syllabus for the English and you see only 4 to 5 lines, it's a थोड़ा सा मन में होता है कि यार सिर्फ 4-5 चीज़ें तो पढ़ना है. I'll give an example to you. When I looked at the syllabus part, there were 2 parts to it. The one was the reading comprehension. In the reading comprehension, they said they will talk about 3 kind of reading comprehension. One thing they said was the factual, second they said was the narrative, and the third thing, yes, anyone can recall? I can look at the chat, so you people can tell me. So there were three sections. People are not coming forward with the answers, correct answer rather. Okay, so one was a factual, they said, one was a narrative, and one was a literary part. Now, reading comprehension with these 3 things written. What is a factual reading comprehension? Factual reading comprehension means a reading comprehension in which there are facts. For example, India population is this, Madhya Pradesh population is this is the age ratio, this is a dash ratio, and blah blah blah. So this is what we call it as a factual reading comprehension. Now, one more reading comprehension they said was a narrative reading comprehension. What is a narrative? Narrating मतलब बताना. कोई story आपको बता रहा है, narrate कर रहा है, just like that. So they'll be talking about a story, a situation, and they would base your answers in that. The third thing they said was it would be literary. Literary क्या होता है? It would be based upon the literary skills. Means what? कोई author का poem ले लेगा, author का कोई writing ले लेगा. So same, just like in your literary skills, same thing they would be asking. Now just look at the scope of the whole thing. Actually, they are saying they can ask reading comprehension from all over the world. So that's an issue. So the topic they can pick is from anywhere they can pick. So basically what I'm saying is, if you're reading only 1 or 2 points, actually it's a big issue. Reason being your syllabus is infinity. Now when I moved into the second part of the syllabus, which they call it as verbal ability, and that's the right word. The right word for actually language test is verbal ability test, and which is the same thing is called in CAT or a GMAT or SSC or a UPSC, where they will call it a verbal ability. What exactly is verbal ability? Verbal ability is not about a language. Verbal ability is about using a language to test your IQ skill. Most of the tests in India will be based upon maths and English, and it's not, the reason is not that maths and English, they are not checking maths or English. Why they are using maths and English is because it's the most universal language. Let's say अगर पूरे इंडिया में all the people are speaking, let's say in French, let's say, then this test would have been a French test. You may call it as a language test, but actually they are not using English to test your language skills. They are choosing that language to test your IQ skills. Once more, I'm repeating this point. This is important, very important for you to have a right perspective. Maths and English are not being used in the testing to test your maths or to test your English. Maths and English are used in most of the exams because they are the universal language, and so they have to ask in the universal language, and they will test your IQ, just like reading comprehension. In the reading comprehension, what is exactly reading comprehension? They will tell a story, they'll put questions to you, and it is totally based upon your IQ skills rather than any language skills. In the reading comprehension, you don't need any language skills. You don't need reading speed. You even don't need vocabulary. You even don't need grammar. You know what you need the most, and that is the understanding part. Many of the words in the reading comprehension would be very difficult, like not in the CUET, but when you move into the job market, GMAT or a CAT or a UPSC or the banking, you will have very difficult words in reading comprehension. The idea is not to test your vocabulary. The idea is not you to go into the dictionary and understand it. The idea is to get a context meaning or the implied meaning. What I'm trying to say is, you are not supposed to know the difficult words. You are supposed to understand it with the context. अगर इस context में ये word को use कर रहे हैं तो इसका meaning क्या हो सकता है? This is what an IQ skill is. I will just tell you in the CUT 2024 का मैं questions pick करूँगा. And I will tell you exactly how they test your IQ skills and not your language skills. I'll take the reading comprehensions even and other parts even, so that I make a point that actually एक difficult एक word को जब वो पूछ रहे हैं, they are not exactly trying to understand that have you read the dictionary or not, but what are they trying to do is, are you able to understand the meaning of that word with the context in which it is used. तो बच्चे भी लगे हैं स्पैम करने. ओके, नाउ CUT थोड़ा मोटा मोटा डेटा पॉइंट देख लेते हैं. कितने क्वेश्चंस हैं टोटल? 200 क्वेश्चंस. कितना टाइम है? 45 मिनट्स वी हैव. सो वी हैव टू आंसर 40 क्वेश्चंस. तो 40 क्वेश्चन, 50 क्वेश्चन है जिसमें 40 करना है. आउट ऑफ 50 वी हैव टू डू 40 and that 40 has to be done in the 45 minutes. So मोटा मोटा मान लेते हैं in the total understanding we can say that we need 1 minute for every question, and in that one we will keep 5 minutes for the rechecking part and also 1 minute for every question. So 45 minutes, 40 questions in 45 minutes. So that's what the main data point is. But believe me, in an IQ skill test, every question will not take more than 5 to 10 seconds if you are using your mind correctly. अभी हम करते हैं. अच्छा, नाउ कमिंग बैक टू द सिलेबस पार्ट. तो पहला तो उन्होंने रीडिंग कॉम्प्रिहेंशन बोला. तो रीडिंग कॉम्प्रिहेंशन इज द टोटल IQ टेस्ट. ओके, यू डोंट नीड एनी प्रायर नॉलेज टू आंसर ए रीडिंग कॉम्प्रिहेंशन. अगर आपका दिमाग तेज है तो आप यू वुड बी एबल टू आंसर इट इवन इफ यू हैवंट रेड दैट टॉपिक बिफोर. ना उसके बाद एक वर्बल एबिलिटी का आया. वर्बल एबिलिटी में व्हाट दे सेड वाज 4 तरह के क्वेश्चन they wanted, they wrote in that. The first was rearranging the part. What they were doing in that thing was, in the verbal ability there were 4 types of questions, जिसमें एक था rearranging the part. अब rearranging the part कैसा था? In the rearranging the part they were dividing one sentence into different parts. Okay, और वो पार्ट्स में वो पूछ रहे थे कि इसको रीअरेंज करो. हम इनसे GMAT और CAT वर्ल्ड में या SSC या UPSC वर्ल्ड में बोलते हैं तारा जम्बल्स, वी कॉल इट. द सेम काइंड ऑफ, इसमें फ्रेजेस था, उसमें सेंटेंसेस होता है. नाउ इन इंग्लिश, इन द बेसिक अंडरस्टैंडिंग ऑफ एनी लैंग्वेज, ए सेंटेंस कैन बी कॉल्ड ए सेंटेंस इफ इट इज मेकिंग ए मीनिंग. ए कंप्लीट मीनिंग अगर बना रहा है तो दैट्स व्हाट द डेफिनेशन ऑफ ए सेंटेंस इज. नाउ इन दिस केस व्हाट एग्जैक्टली हैपेंड इज, रीअरेंजिंग द पार्ट्स में उन्होंने सेंटेंस को 4-5 पार्ट्स में बांटा है. इन दैट 4 to 5 पार्ट्स व्हाट दे आर डूइंग इज दे आर आस्किंग यू टू रीअरेंज इट. नाउ दिस इज एन IQ स्किल यू नीड मोर रादर देन यू नीड एनी लैंग्वेज स्किल्स. व्हाई? जब रीअरेंजिंग पार्ट करना है तो यूजुअली एवरीथिंग विल स्टार्ट विद द सब्जेक्ट. ओके, सो व्हेन यू लुकिंग एट द 4 पार्ट्स ऑफ द सेंटेंसेस, ट्राई टू आइडेंटिफाई द सब्जेक्ट ऑफ द टॉक. It can be a person, it can be a company or an organization, even it can be a situation. So subject of anything you have to understand in that rearranging the part. The first thing you have to do is identify the subject. Reason being, the sentence will always start with the subject. Okay, when we are talking to someone, how we say, Ram, please come to play. So what is Ram here? Ram is a subject. If I say, my company works very well, so what is the subject here? My company. So everything will start with the subject. So simple understanding, एक IQ understanding कि एक sentence हमेशा subject से start होगा. And when let's say there are 4 options, let's say in the CUT test, and if you identify that subject is this, you have already identified your starting point, and believe me, out of the 4 choices, 2 choices will always be gone by that time. Now the only focus you have to do is the remaining choices. I'll take a test. I'll show the whole thing and then you will understand more. The point what I'm trying to say is, In a CUET test, you need more IQ skills, which we teach in GMAT and CAT, rather than you need a language skills, which are taught in the schools. You are not needed to have any language skills. Now the other parts which we are going to talk about is the third thing, the second part of the verbal ability they talked about is the match the following. In match the following, mostly it's a meaning they were doing. And most of the meanings you would be able to find out even if you don't know the word. I'll just show you in one of the match the following, I'll show you that even without knowing the word, I would be able to come out with the right answer. The third thing they were talked about was choosing the correct answer. Usually they were using the fill-ups. Usme prepositions they were using, phrasal verbs they were using. The same thing which you have actually learned in your 6th standard or 7th or 8th standard. Basically the base of a language they were talking about. For example, I'll just show you even that questions in the CUET 2024 so you understand what I'm trying to say. And the fourth part of the verbal ability they talked about was the synonyms and antonyms. Now in the synonyms and all, I can understand you will straight away say to me that this is a language skill, isn't it? Until you understand the language, how you will answer what is a synonym, uska meaning, ya uska opposite meaning, how you will know if you don't know the meaning. But believe me, and I will show you in the test, that even the synonyms and antonyms can be answered very easily using only the IQ skills. You don't need actually the language skills to answer even the synonyms and antonyms. Matlab meaning of a word and even the opposite meaning of the word, you would be able to answer without even knowing the meaning of that word. I meant to say context meaning of the implied meaning of the word, you would be able to take out even without knowing any dictionary. Let's say even if you have not good knowledge of English. Let's say I have a student who has most of the times spent his time in the English medium and he's trying the English. He may think section is a language test and they are going to check the language. Believe me, they are not going to test your language. They are going to test, they are using the English language to test your IQ skills. Actually, this section should be called the verbal ability test rather than the English test. This perspective is very important if you want to score 100 percentile. Acha, now I'll be talking about, so what are the major things we looked at? Reading comprehension, rearranging the parts, match the following, finding the correct word, and the fifth thing they were talking about the synonyms and antonyms, and all these 5 types of questions are actually IQ based test. It's an IQ type based testing type of questions rather than checking your language thing. So what we're going to do is we'll merge into CUET 2024. We'll pick up questions of every kind and we'll try to see kya hum without even having good language skills, are we able to answer using just our IQ? Are we able to answer it or not? We'll just check it. Okay, so let's move to the CUET 2024 test and see. So right now what we are having is our first set of question. That is one of the first type of the question in the CUET would be the reading comprehension. So this is one of the reading comprehension from CUET 2024. So you would be able to relate and you would be able to understand what exactly I am saying. Now, one of the very important strategies which we are going to use is we are going to read actively, number 1. Number 2, we are going to paraphrase the main idea of each and every paragraph. Okay, what exactly I am repeating it. Paraphrasing means writing in your own words. Okay, in a normal layman language. So we'll read every paragraph and we'll try to put the things in our own understanding. जो हमें समझ आया उसके 1 or 2 words में हम समझेंगे. Okay, you can keep on following the cursor. Okay, so when I was in my, I'll just choose the draw one here. Which color I should be using? Red would be fine. Is this coming as red? Yes. So now when I was in my late teens and still undecided about which language I should write on, he told me that the language one is born with, one mother's tongue, and with the only possible medium of creative expression. So what are the main words for the main? And now what we are doing is we are pulling the main idea. Okay, so word creative, mother tongue. So paraphrasing the whole thing, whole 3 lines into 2 or 3 words, we are saying creativity, we are saying it should mean the mother tongue. Now the second paragraph, this is my paraphrase of the first paragraph. Now, for most of my life, my father Sripat Rai had been an editor and a critic, Hindi. Off and on, he translated writings into English from Hindi. He was fond of saying that a failed writer becomes a critic. Okay, very brave statement. Yes, a failed writer becomes a critic. The weight of the literary expectations came eventually to rest on me. He seemed happy that I was showing an inclination for the writing. She will go far, he told my mother after reading the first story that I sent him from the Melbourne. Now, what are the main things here coming out? She's talking about her father, who is an editor and a critic, and there are some expectations. This is the main idea of the whole thing. Main idea basically means the soul of the whole paragraph, and it can even mean the backbone of the thing. So what exactly the backbone right now is, we are talking about an author. An author is narrating a thing. Just like you may recall in the earlier thing we said, RC can be factual, narrative and literary. So this is more like a narrative one. Okay, so what are the things? The talk is about the father, who is an editor as well as a critic, and there are expectations. So this is my understanding, or I would say paraphrasing of the whole paragraph into some words which I understand. Okay. Now, the third one, my father's pronouncement on the mother tongue stayed with me when I started writing fiction in Hindi. Okay. Another thing that I barely acknowledged even to myself was that I felt something like shame whenever I thought of writing in English. Okay. It seemed wrong for the granddaughter of Premchand even to be thinking so. Okay, Premchand, I think they are talking about Munshi Premchand. I think so. Our family had a certain linguistic pride. I knew that the Premchand was famous, that I had not at the time realized the extent of the popularity. So what are the main things we are coming up right now? What is the main idea of the whole thing? We are talking about the author right now. So she was finding, so one of the word, very important word is shame when she was writing in English. Okay. She's a granddaughter of Munshi Premchand, and there was a link with the language. So what are the main things which are coming out? So main thing is not to write in English, and we are talking about she's a granddaughter of, I think we will put it as Premchand, or you may call it as Munshi Premchand, or whatever the way you want to call it. So basically this is a main paraphrasing of the whole paragraph. Now the last one. The fact that I was a granddaughter of Premchand followed me everywhere. Everyone had a story to tell about their personal engagement with his fiction, the shopkeeper, the long-time cook in my father's daily house, a tea vendor, etc. The list was long, for there was practically no one who had not read something by him that had moved them. However, it was their very ubiquity, the reverence and the love that he inspired in people, that made of him something too large for me to comprehend in the early years of my life. It led also to be a strange feeling that without having read him and just by being related to me, I had somehow inhaled his writing. The reading happened much later. So what we are talking about is, we are talking right now about Premchand. We were talking about that everyone knew him, something by him, that everyone was knowing about him, and there is a very difficult word, that is ubiquity. Now there was even a question here about this word. Now I'll just tell you, even without knowing this word and this dictionary meaning of the word, we would be able to come out with the answer. We'll just check that. Okay, so what are the main ideas we can see here? we are talking about Premchand, we are talking about that everyone knew him, and even the author is, what they are saying is, she's saying is, I inhaled his writing. Inhaled his writing, I think, means I adopted it or subconsciously learned from him. So the first thing what we did was we read actively. Number two, we always try to identify the main idea. Okay, so we always was clear about the main idea. This is the main thing which every reading comprehension you should be able to identify. Number three, we paraphrase the whole thing, and now we should be in a very good position to answer each and every question, and we'll just check how much language skills we needed and how much IQ skills we needed. So the first question, that is a 17-1. The author grew up with the expectation that she would take up. So obviously I think the answer lies very clearly, if you read it, of the creative expression she is talking about. So if we are able to read it actively, we are very clear about the creative writing. But as I told you, you should always be eliminating the whole choices rather than selecting. So was it the editor of magazine? No. Translation of literary pieces? No. The job of a critic? She never said that. Okay. So you should always be eliminating before reaching the right answer. When her father said she will go far, he meant that. So correct option kya hai? This is the simple fill the right word kind of a thing. She will travel widely. No. She will achieve great heights in life. Yes. She will go to for one of these days. No. She will settle in far off place. No. So we have the right answer. So I'm eliminating everything before even choosing the right thing. 19th one, choose a statement. So we are talking about the 19th one. Choose a statement which is not true with respect to the passage. The author felt not true. Okay, the author felt pressurized to write in Hindi because of her father. Cannot be the answer. She felt obligated to carry on the legacy of Premchand. Not true. She was in the her family was chauvinistic about the English literature. This is the right answer, and even this, she was in awe of the extensive research of her grandfather writing. That is also true. So this will come as, usually in the questions in reading comprehension, if you're talking about not true kind of a questions, basically it needs much more expertise compared to true ones. Okay, now the 20th one, the Premchand became too large for her to understand, mainly because of what are the things which we are going to talk about. The A part, his ability to connect with people from all walks of life. Yes, the last paragraph said that. The fact that she feared him, never mentioned. The kind of the love and the reverence that he inspired in people, it is mentioned. Her constant anxiety of failing him, there was no anxiety of failing. So obviously we have the right choice. Now we are going with the 21st question, and which we are going to talk about is inhaled his writing refers to. Choose the correct option from the following. Imbibing his writing subconsciously. Yes, we even can infer very easily that this is the right thing, but we will go by eliminating everything. Being compelled to write like him? No. Being influenced by what people said about him? No. Her father expectations from her? No. So we have a winner here even. Now the most important question of the whole thing, the usage of very difficult word which we may not know the meaning, but can we understand by the context. Choose the correct meaning of the word ubiquity as it appears in the passage. It is mean occasional, omnipresence, restricted. I don't know what is ubiquity, so obviously we don't know what it means. Let's look at the context. So the context says, the last paragraph we are talking about, that everyone knew about him, and everyone had a story to tell about their personal engagement with his fiction, the shopkeeper, the long-time cook, a tea vendor, and the list long. So we are obviously, when we reaching how it was this very ubiquity, the reverence and the love that he inspired in people. So we can easily understand it means something that everyone knew him, and he was present everywhere kind of a thing. So he was present in everyone's thinking, life, or some kind of a liking, or people were able to relate with him. So obviously ubiquity means omnipresence. Without even knowing the right word, even knowing the dictionary meaning of the word ubiquity, I am able to come out with the answer. And this is the same thing which will even happen with the meaning, the synonyms and everything, where you will say that the language skills are needed, but I doubt it. Okay, let's move to the next one. So right now what we are going to talk about is the second type of question which comes in the CUET, and that is rearranging the parts. Now we'll pick one or two questions and let's see what kind of skills we need to answer this question. So the first question in the CUET 2024 A type test was this one, which is in front of us. So we have to rearrange the following phrases into the right sequence, which makes a meaningful sentence. Meaningful sentence basic meaning in English is which makes a complete meaning. Okay. So the first thing, as I told you, was to identify the subject. So what is the subject here? For 7 hours, but was hardly, because of the absence of any motivation, able to decide who the murderer was, she worked on the case. So this is the subject we are talking about. So always be starting with the subject. So we already have a winner here, D and D. So 2 and 4 are eliminated from the choices. Okay. So this is not the choice. Now we have to just focus on 2 and 3. Now let's go with the 2 first. Okay. So she worked on the case, and here says A. She worked on the case for 7 hours, but was hardly, then it goes to C, able to decide who the murderer was because of the absence of any motivation. So this becomes my answer. This is a very good answer to have. But we have to eliminate every choice. So D and C, let's say the combination. She worked on the case. C says able to decide who the murderer was. Doesn't make any sense. So this goes out of the window. So once more I'm saying it's not the language skill, to both minimal chahiye. One more, let's pick the one more element of rearranging the thing. One more. Let's talk about the 12 part. Okay. Now let's identify the subject first of all. For organization which provides services to customer on a face-to-face basis, employees with whom they deal is very important. The quality of relationship between customers and. So obviously we can understand that it's talking about the organization. So A will be the starting area. So when we talk about the A, it means we already have a winner here, A. So all these seems wrong, but we have to check each and everything. So let's go with the first option first. For organization which provide services to customers on a face-to-face basis, the quality of relation with the customers and the employees with whom the deal is very important. Very good. Makes full, complete sense. 2. Employees with whom they deal is very important for organization which provide, doesn't make any meaning. Let's move with 3. Services to customers on a face-to-face basis, the quality of relationship between the customer doesn't make sense. Now let's start with D, the quality of relationship between customers, and then go with A. The quality of relationship between customers and for organization which provide, and should have the second thing, and means 2 things we are talking about. So here it goes for its spin. So we have an answer here. So once more I'm saying more of an IQ based testing rather than the language based test. Now let's go for the third type of question. The third type of question in the CUET is match the following. We look at one of the most difficult question in the CUET 2024, and many of the people left it because you have a choice to do 40 questions out of 50. So many of the people left it. But my point is, let's look at this question, which is the question number 3. Okay, let's see this question. Now, what exactly is the problem here? We are just doing the match the following, which you have done in many of the classes. And now look at all the 4 words. Now, in all the 4 words, obviously, the 4 words are difficult in the vocabulary sense. Now, if I look at the whole question as a part of an English test or a language test, obviously I'll have a difficulty. Reason being, I will try to identify the meaning of each and everything. But let's use our mind to answer it. Okay. Now, what is the one word? Now, all the words, 4 words are difficult, and many of the people will have a difficulty. I will not say all, but most of it. Most of the students will have a difficulty in answering this question. Let's pick one word which we are sure about. Now, I think you have read in your social studies and everything, theo thing. Theo is related to God. And crazy, just look at this crazy. Now, what is the root word? Try to find the root word of each and every word you see. Okay, you keep on hearing in India democracy, isn't it? So this, if I'm just using my mind, I don't, let's say as a person, I'm not knowing the meaning of thing, it might be linked to something, the government which is led by God. So straight away I reach my answer. Okay, a government by divine guidance or religious leaders. So that's theocracy. Now let's move into the answers. Okay, if I say A is 3, then I have 2 winners straight away. So I eliminated 2 things straight away. Even I haven't gone to, I would say 75% of the question I even haven't solved, but I have reached my 50% of the answers, 50% of my, I would say the answers I've already eliminated. Now look at the B part, megalomania. Do you find, can you tell me what is a mania? But why to look into it? Let's look at the options first of all. B4. So it will not help us to choose it. But then also, let's leave it. Why we should go? Let's look at the question, only the answer choices where there is a difference. Like C, 1 and 2, D, 2 and 1. So the third word, apothecary. Now, I don't know the meaning of, as a teacher, I know the meaning, but let's say I'm presuming I'm a student right now who has just passed 12th, and let's say I don't know the meaning of it. Let me leave it for some seconds. And I'll go to the last word. Am I able to make some sense out of it? Antiquarian. So just look at, try to find the root word of this thing, antiqua. Is it related to antique? Now look at the option 1 and 2 which we have left. Megalomania has already taken the 4th one. So we're just looking at the 2 options. The first is one who keeps trucks for sale and puts up prescription. I don't know. One who collects and studies objects or artistic works from the distant past. So here is the winner. Here comes the D. So my answer comes to be this. Are you able to understand? What I'm trying to say is, I just, as a student, let's say, if I just know the meaning of only one word, and I'm just trying to find, if even as a word I may not know the dictionary meaning of it, but am I able to understand some part of the word? So here is the answer. And I haven't used any language skill to answer this question even, and this was considered the most difficult one in the CUET 2024. Now let's move to the 4th type of question. Now we are talking about the last 2 types. The first type is choose the correct word, and the last type is synonyms and antonyms. Okay, pure language skills type of question. But let's look at it. Let's look at the 4th question. Fill in the blanks with the correct option. A small dash between 2 children ended up as a group fight. Okay, let's look at this. Altercation makes sense. Altercation means disagreement. It makes complete sense. Our answer is this. But let's look at the other things. We have to eliminate all the options before choosing the right one. A small match between 2 children ended up as a group fight. A small match. A small contest can happen. A small race even between 2 ended up as a group fight. But this can also be seen as an answer, can fit into the answer, can be forced into an answer. But then also, as I told you, we are not choosing the right answer. we are choosing not the correct answer, we are choosing the best answer. So here comes my best answer. An altercation leading two children end up as a group fight makes better sense. Now look at the fifth one. Replace the underlining word with the most appropriate synonym. Meaning देखना है for some. Now let's look at in a way it's a language skills, linguistic skills. Okay, toying मतलब क्या होगा? Toying means playing kind of a thing. Toy means toy, everyone understand. Toying means playing. For some time now, we have been toying with the idea of transferring all our businesses from physical to online sales only. Now look at the context meaning. It cannot be launch, it cannot be showing, it only can be considering, it cannot be carefully even. So when I looked at this word can have n number of meanings. Okay, how many meanings it can have? N. But when I look at the context meaning of the implied meaning, it is just saying from some time now we have been considering the idea of transferring all our business from physical to online sales only. Let's pick some more words. This seems easy, reconciled one. Let's look at some eighth one. Fill in the blanks with the correct option. Same fill up with the correct word. Most of the guests arrived for the concert by bus only. You cannot come with bus. If you can come with bus, if you are walking and the bus is coming with you, which doesn't make sense. From bus, if bus is giving birth to you, yes, from can happen. Through means you are walking through the bus. So basically this is a simple preposition, and preposition you learned in, I think, class 6th. Okay, last one for today. Why did you make the flippant remark about a choice of clothes? Flip. Now I don't, let's say as a student, I don't know what does flippant means. Flip, but do I know what is the flip means? Flip a coin kind of a thing. So basically it cannot mean sarcastic, it cannot mean indifferent, it can only means disrespectful, yes. It can even means casual. These two both can be the answer, but as I told you, we're not finding the correct answer, which was in the best answer. This goes away. I'll remain with the casual. 3 becomes my choice. So what I'm trying to say is, what you are seeing in all the 5 types of things is, we are using more of IQ skills rather than the language skills. So बच्चों, what was the main learning? क्या learn किया? सबसे पहला तो क्या learning किया कि सारा IQ टेस्ट है, ये language टेस्ट है ही नहीं. This should be called verbal ability test and not an English test. पहला learning ये. ओके, पर्सपेक्टिव क्लियर रखना, वही चीज़ आप करोगे. फॉर एग्जाम्पल वी डेड वो थियोक्रेसी वाला वर्ड, यू कैन रिकॉल, टेक दैट एज एन एग्जाम्पल. नाउ अगर मैं दिमाग में ये होगा कि ये लैंग्वेज टेस्ट है, तो मेरा क्या होगा, यार मुझे तो ये वर्ड आता ही नहीं, तो आई कांट डू दैट. बट अगर मेरे दिमाग में ये होगा कि दिस इज एन IQ टेस्ट, देन आई विल फोकस ऑन द थिंग्स विच आई नो and try to reach the meaning. And that's what the difference between a language test and IQ test is. Okay, now let's rewind the whole thing and this session, and before ending the session एक revision कर लेते हैं. Reading comprehension में first strategy, read actively, don't be a third person. Okay, उसमें घुस जाओ. Okay, imbibe the whole writing. Number 2, focus on the main idea. अगर मेन आइडिया नहीं होगा तो आप आंसर नहीं कर पाओगे मैनी ऑफ द क्वेश्चंस. नंबर 3, पैराफ्रेज करो ईच एंड एवरी पैराग्राफ को, अपने वर्ड्स में 2 या 3 वर्ड्स में पैराफ्रेज करो. इफ़ यू आर एबल टू पैराफ्रेज करेक्टली एंड यू आर डू इट फॉर ऑल द 4 to 5 पैराग्राफ्स, यू बी एबल टू गेट टू द करेक्ट आंसर. नंबर 4, दिस इज़ नॉट अ लैंग्वेज टेस्ट, IQ टेस्ट है. अंडरस्टैंडिंग में फोकस रखो. रीडिंग स्पीड मैटर नहीं करेगी, वोकैबलरी मैटर नहीं करेगी, ग्रामर मैटर नहीं करेगी, इवन योर लिटरेरी स्किल्स विल नॉट मैटर. सो व्हाट एग्जैक्टली इज गोइंग टू मैटर इज योर अंडरस्टैंडिंग पार्ट ऑफ इट. ऑलवेज बिलीव. सो इतना स्पैम चल रहा है कि माई फोकस एक्चुअली चेंजेस टू द स्टूडेंट्स. ओके, actually this I put a screen for all the chatting, or actually it takes my focus from the main thing. Okay, coming back to the thing, always focus on the context meaning or the implied meaning. And in IQ test, one strategy is paramount, and which is number one, you are never selecting an answer, you are always eliminating the options. Okay, don't focus on the selection. आप right answer को मत ढूंढना, rather keep the focus on eliminating the wrong answers. IQ test का base होता है वो. नेक्स्ट पॉइंट, IQ टेस्ट में ऐसा सिचुएशन हो सकता है और आपके एडवांस टेस्ट में होता भी है, जो आप GMAT, CAT, UPSC, बैंकिंग में देखेंगे. All the answers can be correct, all the answers can be wrong. So we are never finding the correct answer, we are finding the what answer? Chatting karo, chatting. Yeah, tell me the chatting. So we are always trying to find the best answer. I'm repeating the whole point. In all the IQ tests, first of all, you never select an answer. You always eliminate the wrong answers. Okay, so after eliminating, you reach the right answer. Why I'm saying is because in all IQ tests, there are many situations in which all the answers can be right, in which all the answers can be wrong. So अगर पहला ही आंसर आपको राइट मिला, you will mark it. So that shouldn't be done. Actually, you're trying to find the best answer and not the correct answer. The same strategy will actually go for the match the following. You recall the match the following which we did? The theocracy and everything, megalomania and everything. So what exactly I was trying to say was, अगर मेरा focus ये होगा कि it is an English test, and if I come across a very difficult word, what exactly is going to happen is that I don't know the meaning of the word, and that's it. I will leave the question, or I will do it, I'll just, guess the answer. But the right thing is, if you're using the perspective that it is an IQ test, you'll be able to mark the answer. Try to see how you would be able to mark the answer correctly. वर्ड का ऐसा कुछ फॉर्म हो सकता है या कुछ पार्ट हो सकता है which you would be able to understand. Most of the words would be a combination of some words. So what I'm trying to say is keep the perspective very clear. So match the following में even with the choosing the correct option, even the rearranging the part, and even in the synonyms and antonyms, जहाँ meaning, यहाँ पे word का meaning पूछा जा रहा है, that also we were able to answer even if we are not knowing the right meaning of that word. You are not supposed to know difficult words. You are not supposed to read dictionary. You are not supposed to. आप just think about it. अगर कोई आदमी किसी को चूज कर रहा है कोई बिजनेस के लिए या कोई स्किल कोई भी काम के लिए, उसको क्या फ़र्क पड़ता है कि आपको लैंग्वेज कितना अच्छी तरह आता है? All businesses, all work, everything needs brain. People are interested in your IQ, in your IQ skills rather than your language skills. Even if you know the language very well, how you'll run a business? Language is needed to run a business, but the point what I'm saying is the more better acumen or the equity is an intellectual equity, and that's what that exams test. Okay, so CUET is not English. CUET is verbal ability. This is called verbal ability. इसका मतलब simple words में बता देता हूँ. The language English used to test is being used to test your intelligence. So once more I'm rephrasing the whole thing. We are using the language English because it's a universal language, and we are using maths and English, which are the most universal language, to test your IQ, and that's what the test actually should be called, verbal ability. I think they will do it when you will complete your graduation and you will move into CAT or a GMAT or SSC or a banking or whatever other things, or UPSC and everything. You will see this being called verbal ability, the same thing which you are experiencing right now. But I should commend the NTA. Actually, I was not expecting the English CUT to be, when the first time I saw CUT English 1 or 2 years from now, I was expecting the test based upon main thing, just like the school, in the way schools, in the English is taught in the school, जैसे English आपको पढ़ाते हैं. So what I was thinking was more of a literary kind of a test होगा, लेकिन this is not a literacy. This is more of based upon IQ skill test sets. Okay. चलिए, let's find out. And what is the main learning now? The one learning which I can call is आप सब बड़े हो गए हो. अब आप बड़े हो गए हो, so you're in the big leagues, and you're being tested in the same way. चलिए, best of luck.